Hello, friends, and welcome back. We are back again to discuss the Penguinn episode 4. I'm going to try to not butcher the title, Centani, I believe. Which,
Sounds
for those who are listening who didn't know, like we didn't about 2 minutes ago, it means it's a traditional Italian greeting, or it's a way to wish someone a long life, which is pretty fitting. I think that's a way of, the fact that it's used the way that it's used in this episode, that was pretty damn fitting. So yeah. So I'm here again with Jarrod. Jarrod, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Steve. And how are you?
I'm good. I mean, it's this episode is, I think it's, of all the great series through the years, this episode just by itself is probably like top 10. I mean, I know it's fresh and it's recency bias and everything, but it is just a really, so good.
It was so well done. Yeah, you're right. I'm trying to put my, recency bias. I'm trying to hold it back a little, but I can't. It's really good. And just everything in this episode with the acting and the directing, the scenery with Arkham Asylum, how it changes. It turns into like a more chaotic, scary handheld type of style when she gets into Arkham Asylum. Well, she's having a flashback, going into there, and it's just so well done with everything. The whole directing of everything. Sophia was front and center for this episode, and that's even shown even in the scenes with the Penguinn in the scenes. The Penguin's always kind of off to the side or to the back, or he's secondary in this in the scenes and in this episode, and it shows. And they did that on purpose, and it was just brilliantly done.
Yeah, so I think some questions from the last episode are answered pretty quickly.
Yeah.
The first one being, why didn't he bring Sophia with him when he's rescued by Vic? So I think it makes sense, but I also wonder why maybe he didn't have time to kill Sophia, because now she's on to him. So I think he just was trying to save himself and didn't have the time or didn't know what to do in the moment. So he didn't know whether or not to kill her or to save her, but he ends up just driving away.
Yeah, I think they showed that scene from a completely different angle with this the advent of this episode, and you're right. They answered some questions about, because we didn't know how much she knew in the last episode of why the Maronis were there.
Mm-hmm. And
this time we get the full explanation, and she gets the explanation, of course, which we now know. Like, yeah, Oz, the gig is up between her and Oz right there. That she's she knows it all, and I like so what goes down there is it's all chaos. There's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of gangster stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
and then I love how when Sophia passes out, that's when it flashes back into the past, and the transition was just great at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was, because I think we get the impression that her experience at Arkham changed her, but we didn't know really how much, because I kind of assumed that she was a daughter of a gangster. She probably was involved in the family. She was probably, she did something bad, and she ended up in Arkham. So maybe she was always this way. And then we kind of get some hints in the last episode or two about the Penguinn being responsible for it, being responsible for her being there. but seeing where she starts and where she ends up, wow.
Yeah, what a transformation. And it all goes back to the far past, because we see her as a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she's immediately scarred by her mother hanging, supposedly by a suicide, but we find out more later that it probably wasn't. That her father is quite the psycho and is responsible for a lot of stuff, and including setting her up to go to Arkham. What a series of betrayals by her father to that point. And it was just incredible how it was all played out, and how one thing led to another, with the revelations about the what her father did, and how she changed that during the whole time there.
Yeah, I think so. The reason that she ended up being set up and being betrayed was because the Penguinn did tell her dad, trying to win his favor, that she was talking with reporters, and she was going to spill family secrets and implicate him in the murders. So I'm kind of surprised that she trusted him as much as she did, but I guess she didn't really have a choice. Over the course of the last few, she had no one else. That's all she had. So yeah. So you do see the Penguinn, when he is confronted by the two family, the Maroni family, he switches pretty quickly to whichever side has his life in their hands.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. He is the ultimate opportunist, and that's completely in character with what we've seen the whole time throughout the series here. Yeah, and he told on her, but and then he gives like some lame excuses about why he did and all that stuff, and she was you got the sense that she didn't believe her father was going to go to the lengths that he went to at first, because the horror of what she went through. First, she was relying on her brother to give her information in the prison to get her out of there. And then he failed her, at that point. So then, she and she's dealing with all the doctors in Arkham, and she's dealing with we meet her therapist for the first time, and that speech she finally gives when she says all the men have failed me in my life, was the wrapping up of all those things, all those years, and how and she's right, they've all failed her, up until she finally at the end of the episode she takes charge and basically is her own boss now.
Yeah. You can say that. So okay, she also knows that the Penguinn killed her brother, so that's been revealed to her. So how much, and we'll go more into the transformation, I'm sure, and all the series of events that she went through, but how much trouble is Penguinn in now? Because she does survive. She is in a position of power at the end of the episode. How much trouble is he in, and how is he going to get out of this?
That's a great question, and it I really don't know, because this was this show continues to surprise me about where it's going and what direction it's going in, because she's in charge now. She even spares Johnny Vito for a reason. She's going to use him now. She probably recognizes his talents, and she also recognizes that she had him over a barrel before with the whole affair thing. But but that's out the window now, because she killed her uncle. So, but I have a feeling that she figures that Johnny Vito is going to be useful, so what's going to happen at this point? What is Oz going to do? What kind of straits is he in? It really looks like he is, up the creek without a paddle. Right now he's on the run, probably from both the Maronis and Sophia. So this is a real conundrum. Like, I don't know. I have no idea what he's going to do.
I'm guessing it'll take her a little bit of time to kind of organize and get everything in order, because she is the last surviving member of the family. So she'll be next in line, but I'm sure that people that work for her will have some questions on where is everybody, like what happened to them. So I'm sure it'll take her a little bit of time to kind of get everything settled and get that position of being able to call the shots. I don't think it'll take too long. So I'm not sure where he goes from here.
Yeah, he's that's the question. Does he go into hiding, or does he come up with some other wacky plan like he's been doing? He definitely is a plan. He's a person who plans in the moment.
Yeah.
And usually it's something pretty crazy. So we'll see what he comes up with.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he does, or how he manages to get out of this. I mean, the show is the Penguinn, so he has to find a way somehow. I don't think he has any way to repair that relationship with Sophia anymore, because she knows that he killed her brother, and he was responsible for sending her to Arkham, which confirmed. He was working with the other family, with the Maronis, and he was conspiring against her. So I don't know. He can talk his way out of that one. I do wonder if she'll go after his mom, or something will. Maybe that's how Vic ends up dying. Is that they get a hold of him?
Yeah, I mean, this is all speculation at this point. But of course, we know he goes on to become a Batman villain. But we also know that the Falcone family goes on to become a force in Gotham, and there's always been, we know that there's some sort of balance of power amongst all these criminal enterprises that make up Gotham, and give Batman such a hard time. So, so it's I think it's all a matter of how does this balance of power come about. We still got the Riddler out there causing chaos. We still got and we got the Penguinn. How is he going to recover from this? This is a setback for him. So how is he going to recover to become the villain that we know he's going to eventually become? It's a great thing for these show makers to work with, and to really keep us on our toes, and I like what they're doing.
Yeah, the journey that Sophia takes from seeing her mom hanging and going through that experience, still manages to keep things together, is semi-involved, I guess, in the family. I'm sure she's aware of what's going on, but not involved actively. Finding out that her dad is the hangman, being set up to take the fall for it all. And I love the whole sequence when she was taken and she ends up in Arkham, and the whole sequence, just the way that she's broken down every step of the way, they just chip away at her and dehumanize her and make her go through all these really awful things. They do the whole medical thing where they derobe her and they quote unquote, give her the inspection and the physical and all that stuff. And then they mentally just break her down.
Yeah, it was pretty horrific, what they do to her, and you wonder, that it seems to be protocol for this place, to do that, to its residents, as you expect in Arkham Asylum. All the residents are fairly disturbed, and so, and because she was kind of like Daddy's princess up until the point where she started questioning things and started looking into things and that reporter kind of pushed her into talking to her. She kind of had it made. Like she was living well, and those questions were dangerous questions, and got her in the straits that she's in. And then we see, like you said, the breakdown, and it's cool because we actually find out what makes her crazy, because she's had this crazy streak ever since the first episode, but you never really knew why, other than she's just a mafia boss's daughter. And now we get the full explanation of what made her crazy, and it was just like you said, that full breakdown, because she was there for 10 years.
Yeah,
and that's a long time to be in that kind of a place, and that kind of transition. And I like how when she first falls unconscious at the gunfight when the Penguinn takes off, you had that transition into the past, and then we had that similar transition into the present when she ends up in her therapist's office there, because she ended up calling him before she passed out. And I don't know why. I don't know what happened to the Maronis that he would be able to go there and find her.
Yeah, I think she kind of wandered away and passed out. So maybe they were in a hurry and couldn't find her.
Yeah, I was kind of trying to figure out why they were. Obviously, they had a shootout with the Penguinn and stuff, and that maybe they were just going after him, or maybe police actually showed up or something. I don't know what the case was, but so I was a little hazy on how she got that far away without them looking for her or what have you, and how the therapist found her before anybody else. So I was a little hazy on that point, but I still really love the transition from when she wakes up in the office, and how it just changes the whole style and feel of the camera and the tone of the scenes, and I was really impressed with it.
And we do get we talked about the title of the episode, and at the beginning, I like how it kind of bookended it with the beginning. When she's at the charity event, she says something like, I hate giving speeches, and I'm not comfortable with them, and And at the end, of course, she gives the other speech and toast, and it was just the 2 points from A to B. And I think you had said this before we started recording, that if she's not nominated for something, I mean, something's wrong.
Something's wrong with the industry. Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, because one of the things I really like was because before, when she woke up in that therapist's office, I actually wrote down, why is he helping her?
Mm-hmm.
And then she asked him the same question, you know, and I forget what his reasoning was. A little lame.
He had regret, or he was trying to make things right, or something like that.
Yeah, and she said, and he said, you know, he's trying to make things right and make a fresh. He got out of Arkham. He transferred out or whatever he did, and he couldn't take it anymore being there, and then before she left that office, she turned to him and said, I deserve a fresh start. And she had that perfectly crazy look on her face when she said that, with that crazy smile. And I was like, oh boy, something's coming.
I thought she was going to leave. That's what I thought.
Right, because he did mention that the Italy thing. And that you definitely got the impression that could happen. And then during and then she gives that speech. I was like, well, is she gonna do a mic drop? See you later. I'm off to Italy. The hell with all you, you know?
Yeah.
But no, she had a much bigger plan in mind, which was great. And one of the lines she said during that speech was, victims are so quickly forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, her victims ended up being her uncle and the rest of her family there. And so I was just like, oh, wow, that's so powerful. I love that.
Yeah, all the double meanings of a lot of the episode and a lot of the things that were said throughout, and the way that it all connects, it all makes sense, it all works. But yeah, and then seeing, I think it's everyone's worst nightmare. Well, probably not worst nightmare, but nightmare scenario, to be accused of being called crazy, and you're put in a place like that. And how do you convince everyone that you're not crazy before you start to believe you're crazy? Because if everyone treats you like you're crazy and they tell you you're crazy, I think we'd all like to think that we'd hang in there. But at some point, you're probably going to start believing that you're crazy, that you just, you start to believe it and you become crazy.
Yeah, that was, you're right. And because that's part of how they broke her down. They broke her down by making her become what was already in there. Even the woman who first introduces herself to her called herself Magpie. And I didn't know if that was some kind of reference to a Batman comic or somewhere. There was a character called Magpie or something like that. Because of course that's like a code name, Mm-hmm. And so I thought that maybe she might have a bigger role. Of course, her role was to fall into the sphere of making Sophia crazy enough to kill her. Or I think she killed her anyways, because there was blood coming out of her head on the floor there. So
yeah,
pretty sure she killed her. But so R.I.P. Magpie. But but that was her role, and that was just so well done too, because you're lured into thinking that they're gonna become like friends in there or something like that, and that they might lean on each other or something like that to to help her get through this situation. But no, her role was actually helping her become crazy and become the killer that some of the rest of these people in here are, and that transformation into who she became later.
Yeah. And she was, Magpie was a villain that was created by John Byrne. First appeared in Man of Steel 3 in 1986. She eventually died, but she did return as a zombie, like Black Lantern in Blackest Night. And she did return for the New 52 reboot years ago, a decade ago. She had a new costume design, but she died in that timeline too.
Huh.
So, yeah. So it seems like a character wasn't. I think they just wanted her to be kind of serve a purpose and nod to the fans that recognize the name. Because I wondered that too, if that was, one of Batman's villains or who that was. But right. Yeah, pretty clever way to use a character that dies a lot in every timeline.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Summer Gleason was from the animated series, I think, from the Batman animated series, from what I understand. So that's where they pull her from, the reporter.
The reporter, okay, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that name sounded familiar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But and then all the shock therapy and the just chipping away at her sanity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that was some torture. But
yeah.
so riveting, so engaging. You couldn't stop watching it. And just the whole episode was just unbelievable in that sense.
Great use of music too. The soundtrack, the different music used for different scenes. I think that it really helps to ramp up the tension and the anxiousness that you feel for her in that situation of being thrown in Arkham, being told, okay, you're going to be here for 6 months, and then it ended up being, she's not fit to stand trial. So I think that's when she really snaps, when she kills Magpie, and she just, at that point, it's just, you have nothing else to lose.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and one of the scenes, which I also thought was some really great dialogue, was when she takes the little girl aside out of her room, brings her into the greenhouse or whatever that was, and she actually ends up telling her the truth about everything, in a way, as explaining it to a child. But she didn't tell her something else. She actually told her all the truth about, I've done bad things, and just the way she explained that, I just loved it. I love the dialogue there, and I love the writing in that case. She wasn't talking down to the kid, and she was telling her the truth about who she was, and I wonder how that's going to play out in the future too, what's going to happen with that kid. I hope it's not just something that's forgotten about later on.
Yeah.
I hope that there's actually some ramifications and some further storyline with that. And we've seen the kid a couple times, so I do think, or I expect the kid to be involved somehow, because it's not just a one-off, because she's been around a little bit. It seems like they have a bond now. And like you said, she did explain that she was locked away with monsters and she had to become a monster to survive. Right.
Oh, that was great.
Brilliant. Yeah. Yep. And so, and then she spares Johnny Vito. So that just a brilliant setup. So who'd she kill? She killed her uncle. She killed
everybody.
Her cousin.
Her cousin, yeah.
She killed
the wives, right? She killed her sister-in-law, her cousin's wife, the one with the daughter, right?
Yep. Her parents are dead. And I think there was another guy in there too. It might have just been some of the some of the henchmen that were there. And so everything's set up for her to take over the family and the family business. And so sparing Johnny Vito, I think, was brilliant, because he knows the business. He knows everything the family was into. And she knows that she can deal with him, because she probably thinks that she can control him in one way or another.
Yeah, I think he also gives her some legitimacy too, because I feel like she needed someone to help her with that transition, someone who was involved, who could kind of guide her and to connect her to everyone, and knew the family business that she may not have known about. So someone who knew everything that was going on. She can control him. She's the only one left in the family, so she won't be questioned really, because the lineage is still there. So yeah, I guess he's the one to make it happen.
Yeah, he's gonna be one saying, "Hey, this is how it is now." Mm-hmm. Get in line and take things from there.
I mean, I'm sure all the different. I'm sure the family before is scary. Well, obviously they're scary because all the things that they do. But Sophia is not someone to mess with. So no. She brings that fear factor. She brings the intimidation pretty thick.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially now, it's the way she. It just blew me away that the way she went about it, the speech, how she just set it all up. Very calculating, very cold and calculating, with a smile on her face the whole time. And like we said earlier, the actress deserves all the kudos in the world for her performance. She's kind of upstaging Colin Farrell a little bit right now.
Yeah, I mean, to see those two, I think Colin Farrell, I think it's because he's playing a character we don't really see. I mean, at least for me, I keep reminding myself that that's Colin Farrell. Like,
yeah.
So, well, I think he's doing a great job. Yeah, I think it's Kristen Militoni is, yeah, she's just, I mean, wow. I mean, all of it, just even the wardrobes from the beginning at the charity event, so she's wearing this like sundress, very modest.
Right.
And by the end, she's wearing the very revealing dress, like the low cut. So yeah, it's just the makeup, the hair, the everything. I mean, it all, the transformation from beginning to end is just wild.
It is. And especially when if you look at a picture of her, she's kind of the pristine daddy's girl at the beginning when she's giving the speech at the little banquet or whatever that was. And then you look at the picture of her with the orange jumpsuit, in the prison. And then you look at the picture of her afterwards with the makeup and the eyeliner and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's just incredible what she went through in just one episode.
Yeah. I do see why people are so afraid of her, though. Why the family is afraid of her. Because the other thing that she's the killer. And, yeah, just really, really sad, really tragic. For as well done as it was, it's just it's a very tragic story. Her journey is some of it was hard to watch. But that's, yeah. I mean, I think that was the whole point is, what she had to endure. I think I don't know how anyone would be sane after that.
Yeah, no, nobody could come out of that and be the same person they were before. Yeah, it's funny because everybody was afraid of her because she was called the Hangman, and really, the family's duplicity in keeping her in there, not just her father, but the rest of the family too. Their duplicity in keeping her in there is what created the very thing that people were afraid of her for, even though she wasn't responsible for the hangings. She still was created to create the same kind of fear as the one responsible for those hangings. So
yeah,
it's the irony level is off the charts in this show.
Yeah, so good. Such a great episode.
Yeah, it was. And I was most of the time when you have that kind of violence to a person, in that kind of a situation where they're being tortured like that with electroshock therapy, they get beat up in the facility, and it's pretty brutal. That's the kind of thing that would turn my wife off from like a show like that. But it was so engaging, and it was so well done that you couldn't look away and you had to know what happened next. And yeah, we keep watching, and it's so good.
Yeah, so good. I think this is by far the best episodes. I mean, all the episodes have been great, but this one, I think, like I said, this singular episode is up there on the list for me. And I'm trying to not, like we talked about, I'm trying to not get too carried away. But just even watching this, even if you hadn't seen the first 3 episodes, coming into this one and watching this by itself, you could still get, I think, the gist of everything.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is actually one of those pseudo self-contained episodes that you can actually just separate it. And I think it's like, because I know like series like this, they all have one episode that they submit for considerations for award shows and stuff like that, especially when it comes to directing, because they usually have more than one directing on a series, more than one director on a series. And so episodes are submitted for a singular director to get like best directing and what have you, or best screenwriting for a single episode. I have a feeling this is the one for this series. I don't see how they could top it as far as the next, because I have a feeling the next 4 episodes are gonna be the kind of the action-packed, a little bit more action-packed, finagling for power in the city. And there's going to be more big picture stuff than this. This was very focused. It was very very much tunnel vision on her. And I have a feeling the next 4 episodes are going to be more big picture stuff. Maybe a bit more, maybe a few instances of focusing on what the Penguin's doing and stuff like that. But it's going to definitely be what's happening in the bigger picture for the power struggle for the underworld, the crime area.
I started to wonder how they're going to wrap this up and how they're going to tie a bow on it at the end of the season. And then I thought, how would you feel if, would this season feel like a letdown if there's a cliffhanger and the last episode and it'll be concluded in the next movie that we may not get for another year or plus? Would that make this season, I know it's up to this point, but would that make it a disappointment for you, or would that dampen your enjoyment of the series?
It's a good question. Yeah, I can't tell at this point. I'm so high on it right now. I dread being disappointed at the end of this series because yeah, I mean, no, you never want to be disappointed by anything you're watching, but there's certain things you expect, certain things, and this one has been so unexpectedly great so far. I would that be disappointing if it was kind of a cliffhanger? I think it would be a little bit. I think the Penguinn needs to be somewhat established as a villain at the end of this. And I think they can do that and still lead into the movie if they want to. I think it's possible to have both a satisfying ending and a lead into the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm assuming we'll get most things tied up. I mean, I think the Penguinn will have an arc, but I'm sure they'll have to leave some things up in the air for the movie to kind of tie into or to connect with. So I'm assuming we'll get a little bit of that, but yeah, I don't know. I'm enjoying this a lot. So we'll see.
Yeah.
See how it goes. We're halfway through. So
yeah, I want it all, Steve. I want it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else on your list?
No, I think we got it all.
Yeah. Oh yeah, such a good episode. But we'll see what happens in the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So in the meantime, where can people find you?
You can find me at the Fantasy Thinker YouTube channel. You can find me on the podcast Speculative Speculations, and you can find me at pagechewing.com.
You can find me in the same places, and all the links are down below in the description, so be sure to check them out for more stuff. We are, for any of you still listening, we are starting the Oscars project. I think it's dubbed the Oscars project. So we're starting in 1960, watching the Oscars Best Picture of every year, and the first one is The Apartment. So we are starting that next month, or if you're listening after the fact, we're starting this in November of 2024, just to record. So if anyone would like to discuss with us, or either on the forum or on the podcast, let us know. It's all the information is there. So join our forums and come by and say hello. And thanks everyone for listening, and we will talk very soon.